I don't have that stupid Obamacare. I'm covered by the Affordable Care Act.
The Affordable Care Act is Obamacare, genius.
Tell me if this sounds familiar. We were told the Affordable Care Act was going to make healthcare, well, affordable, right? That was the whole pitch, the whole shtick. Fast forward to today, and the government is literally shutting down because the same people who pushed Obamacare are now saying healthcare costs are too high unless the government steps in with even more subsidies, which, by the way, is just a fancy word for saying your tax dollars. So the Affordable Care Act is affordable as long as you pay someone else's bill. And here's the funny part. This isn't even new. In healthcare, you only ever get 2 out of the 3 things: affordability, high quality, and covering everyone. Pick any 2. If you want everyone covered and high quality care, it's not cheap. If you want cheap care that covers everyone, the quality drops. If you want cheap and high quality, not everyone gets access. That's reality. But instead of admitting that trade-off, politicians are shocked when the numbers don't magically work. So now we're shutting down the government over a law that was supposed to prevent this problem in the first place. The irony writes itself. The Affordable Care Act is only affordable if someone else is paying for it. And that someone else is you. Appreciate you.
We've got big news on the Obamacare funding front. Marjorie Taylor Greene, who is a huge MAGA member of Congress, Republican from the House, Trump's biggest defender, has caved and said we need to fund the Obamacare, the ACA, the Affordable Care Act subsidies, and fund them now. This is what Democrats have been demanding. This is why the government was shut down, because Republicans wouldn't fund it, among other reasons. And for her to admit it, she said, my kids' premiums are going to double if we don't fix this. And I don't like Obamacare, she said, but I don't want the premiums to double. That's ridiculous. She's admitting what Democrats are saying is true. The premiums will double unless the Republicans fix this. She's also admitting that Democrats are, this whole shutdown, this whole issue of what Democrats are asking for is to fix the subsidies. It's not to help illegals. It's to help people like Marjorie Taylor Greene's kids. She's admitting it. This is a big deal, guys. She's a wacko. This is the one who claimed that Jews had space lasers in space that were starting forest fires. She's crazy. For her to come along as such a huge Trumper is a huge deal. It also explains why they're out of session this week and why they're on vacation, because the House Speaker, the Republican, didn't want them here because he was afraid they were going to cave.
I recently made a video about the whole Affordable Cares Act and how it ruined healthcare for America. I gave a lot of details, factual information about what's going on and why the government is shut down. Mainly because these insurance companies and the stronghold that they have against the U.S. economy. Because if you don't have insurance, you're going to be penalized. If you do want to get insurance, you're going to have to pay an arm and a leg. And I also said Barack Obama is receiving royalties or making money off of the Affordable Cares Act, also known as Obamacare. And all of the Democrats were coming onto my page talking about President Obama's not getting a royalty. He's not making any type of money from the Affordable Cares Act or even the insurance companies. And I was like, you know what? Let me go back and do some more research so I could update my information and give the correct information. I'm looking at it on the computer, but I'm going to put it on the screen so you guys can see. Former President Joe Biden with $8.2 million he received from insurance companies. Mitt Romney, a Republican, $7.7 million. Kamala Harris, $6.7 million. Hillary, $5.5 million. And our favorite one, Mr. Obamacare himself, $5.5 million. And now we're back to Mitch McConnell. He's a Republican, but he's really a Democrat. He's just there for the Democrats to have more votes. He doesn't fall to any Republican politics. Chuck Schumer, another Democrat, $2.9 million. As you can see, we have all these politicians from Democrats and Republicans that are making millions of dollars, making things a lot more expensive. And come around tax season, if you do not have insurance, you're gonna be penalized. But these goofballs in total made over $50 million from these insurance companies. But these are the same people that keep coming on the internet and saying President Trump is doing this, Elon Musk is stealing money from you, and just a lot of crazy ass shit. I'm surprised people are not on here looking up this information, because it's literally here for, and it's a .org site. These people love to say President Trump loves the misinformed people, but whenever something doesn't make sense, I look up information. I repeat the information. You got Democrats coming on here talking about, I don't know what I'm talking about.
Norway, United Kingdom, Brazil, they all have free healthcare for their citizens. Countries like Australia and France have free healthcare for their citizens, but they may have copays in certain situations. But copays. Why do we not have free healthcare in our country? Oh, fearless leader, I shouldn't say that Donald Trump has been saying for 10 years, I'm working on it. We'll have it planned out in 2 weeks. We'll have it planned out in 2 weeks. He said that his whole 4 years, his first term. Who's saying it now? MAGA Mike Johnson saying, well, we got to get rid of Obamacare. We got to get rid of Obamacare. Yet he doesn't come up with a game plan for replacing Obamacare. Obamacare was a starting point. Then you build from Obamacare. You build onto that. You make it work. And it's been working for millions of Americans across the country. Now you're going to rip it away just to give millionaires and billionaires the tax breaks that you promised? Think about this. The man stands up in front and rips on John McCain. He's standing in front of the press ripping on John McCain for giving the famous thumbs down. Oh, still giving me PTSD. You think you've got PTSD? Your health care doesn't cost you shit. And all you have to do is sit there and just allow health care to go, these subsidies to continue. That's all we're asking for. No one's asking for free health care at this point. The Obamacare still isn't cheap. It was a starting point, and you're calling it a failure. If that's the case, then why are 18 million Americans scared to death that they're going to lose their health care? You don't even have a clue what's going on in this country, let alone the goddamn Congress.
Hi everyone, welcome back to the channel. So this is right. MAGA supporters are furious after finding out that Obamacare and the Affordable Care Act are actually the same thing. Yup, the same exact program they have been cheering to destroy for years. And now that it's gone, they are losing their own health care. Let's talk about this mess. Let's watch these clips. I will be back with more commentary.
Obamacare was not a disaster, and I really wish y'all would stop spreading that lie. And it's got to be because either A, you're too young to remember what the financial market and environment looked like back in like 2006, 2008, or you got a very short memory. I entered the workforce back in 2006, the same year I entered college, and the minimum wage was $5.15 an hour. Maybe 1 or 2 years after that, it was $6.55 an hour. At $5.15 an hour, $6.55 an hour, you were not getting insurance through the company. I remember that vividly. That premium was going to at least eat up 1 week of your check, and you only making $200 a week anyway. And you for damn sure wasn't going to get it privately because the premiums are even higher. This is why people back in the day told y'all, get a job with the post office, get a job with the city, get a job with the state, work for the government. Why? Because you may not get rich working for the government, but them benefits are going to make sure you're taken care of. But if you want to know the value of the ACA, you can just look at the benefits they celebrate. Do you know how many people were denied coverage due to pre-existing conditions? Do you understand how many people had the prices of their insurance jacked up just because they got sick? Y'all are harder on this legislation than y'all are on the companies that cause need for legislation. High premiums existed long before the Affordable Care Act. High deductibles existed long before the Affordable Care Act. Medical debt definitely existed long before the Affordable Care Act. In fact, medical debt has always been one of the leading causes of bankruptcy in the United States. The Affordable Care Act was originally meant to be a step toward universal health care. The problem is nobody else has taken another step to actually accomplish the goal of universal health care for citizens of the United States. Y'all got to start doing some research on your own instead of regurgitating these talking points that are completely unfounded.
Obamacare was the reason insurance became as expensive as it is. Do you think so? Just so happens right here in my hand, I have 2 EOBs that I got in the mail today. That's an explanation of benefits from my insurance company. One of these is for routine annual blood work. Yeah, at the doctor's office. What do you think they charged for that? What do you think they charge for routine annual blood work? How about $2,712 for blood work? Yeah. And then the second one here, let me look. Obamacare was the reason insurance became as expensive as it is. Do you think so? Just so happens right here in my hand, I have 2 EOBs that I got in the mail today. That's an explanation of benefits from my insurance company. One of these is for routine annual blood work. Yeah, at the doctor's office. What do you think they charged for that? What do you think they charge for routine annual blood work? How about $2,712 for blood work? Yeah. And then the second one here, let me look. It's about 2 weeks later, my wife got sick and she went to urgent care. We thought she had the flu. They tested her for flu, COVID, and the strep. Do you know what they billed my insurance company? $708 to test her for the flu, COVID, and strep. All tests, by the way, that I could go down to Walgreens and buy for probably 30 or 40 bucks for all of them. So if you want to know why health insurance is so high, this is why. $2,700 for blood work and $700 to get tested for the flu and COVID and strep. Yeah, that's why. Thanks!
So what happened? Social media is on fire right now with clips of Trump voters panicking after losing coverage. Many didn't realize the ACA and Obamacare were literally the same thing. They thought one was good and the other was bad because of the name. Now their insurance is gone and medical bills are piling up. For years, right-wing media pushed this idea that Obamacare was some evil plan to help the poor, while the Affordable Care Act sounded more neutral. And people bought it. They didn't even read the policy, they just followed the talking points. Now they're realizing they voted away their own benefits. You see, there's interviews where people say things like, I don't want Obamacare, but I need my ACA. That's how deep misinformation runs. People were tricked into hating something that was literally helping them survive. Now they are furious, and honestly, it's sad but ironic. Without those subsidies and protections, millions are losing access to doctors, medicine, and affordable care. Families that once supported Trump now face hospital bills that could bankrupt them. It's heartbreaking, but it also shows what happens when politics becomes a team sport instead of a search for truth. This story should be a wake-up call. Before you cheer for something to be destroyed, make sure you actually know what it is. The MAGA crowd laughed when they heard about Obamacare being repealed. Now they are crying because it was the same program keeping them healthy. So what do you think? Is this karma or just ignorance catching up? Drop your thoughts below, like the video, and subscribe for more reactions to the weirdest political stories in America. Stay informed because misinformation can cost you more than just a vote. Thank you so much for watching. Catch you next time. Bye.